Hello everybody, my name is CoryxKenshin and welcome to Spooky Scary Saturdays. Now you may know this is as a reference to CoryxKenshin's Spooky Scary Sundays, but this is actually a little bit different. Well, it's kind of the same as Spooky Scary Sundays, but it's on a different day. I don't want to, but yeah, you catch what I don't want to keep doing. I wanted to do this because I wanted to show a little more, how should I say, what's the word I'm looking for?
The word you're looking for is diversity, you idiot. Now get on with the video.
Yeah, I know. Basically, I'm trying to show a little bit more new content on my channel every now and again. I wanted to give a bit more, give more diversity, to say the least. So, without further ado, let's begin. So our first scary story on our list is a creepy McDonald's horror story animated. I wanted to do some... This is going to be a bit of a slow start because I don't know a lot of good stories. There was just one that I did with Brandon a long time ago, and who knows what was all in that video was made. Anyways, if you guys have any other scary stories you would like me to react to, let me know down in the comments below and I'll try to get someone with me next time. Here, let's get started.
It was about 3 in the morning and I was on my way to my job at my local McDonald's to open with one of my favorite managers there with me. She told me to text her when I got there so that she could let me inside. Once I pulled in, I noticed a man standing outside of his car in the farthest corner of the parking lot. He was shooting me this sort of menacing stare. Let me point out that it's completely pouring outside. I was really confused as to why this guy wasn't just sitting in his car. I then parked and texted my manager to let me inside. Seconds later, I noticed her at the door opening it for me. Upon walking up to her, I say my usual good morning. I was stopped mid-sentence by her rushing me inside and saying, "Did you see that guy outside?" I told her yes, and she proceeded to help me refill sauces, napkins, and things like that. My manager then told me that she's going to check the security tapes just to make sure that everything during the period that the restaurant was closed was okay. Minutes later, my manager called me into her office for whatever reason. She told me to look at the screen, and it showed that the same man was standing outside. The time was 12:47. She then fast-forwarded the tape to reveal that the man had been standing outside the entire time up until now.
No, wait.
And at this point, it's about 3:50 a.m. I ran to the front lobby and I noticed him still standing over by his car. I figured, or was hoping, that he was probably just on something and he was waiting for us to open so that maybe he could get breakfast.
I don't think so.
I resumed filling sauces again and making sure everything was in working order, until I was abruptly interrupted by banging at the front door. I walked over and noticed a figure right outside the front door.
Oh boy.
It was the man. I yelled that we were closed and that he would have to come back later. That didn't seem to faze him as he continued to bang on the door. I walked away, figuring that he was just being an asshole, when suddenly I heard a loud crash. I ran to the lobby to see the glass door broken and the man beginning to step inside. I yelled for my manager and told her that we needed to leave through the back door.
Okay,
and we did just that.
You're smart.
We booked it to our cars and both called the cops. They arrived in about 15 minutes and came outside the restaurant with a dirty-looking man in cuffs.
What the heck is wrong with
They
this
said
eye?
he was hiding in the back janitor's closet with a large knife in his hand.
Forget the eye. What's
So
wrong with
that's
his whole
my
face?
story, and also the reason I'm never working early mornings again.
Well, if I were in that situation, I'd probably do the same thing. The scary part is that I also work in a fast food place, well, a pizza place to say the least. I work deliveries, and on my deliveries I go through some rough neighborhoods, and I've had some, let's just say, sometimes I get a little bit anxious when I go through those places. But luckily all the customers I go to in those areas have been very, very pleasant. Thank goodness for that. Okay, so this next one is by Llama Arts. It's called True Hunting Stories Animated. I don't know much about this story, but the narration is put done by Mr. Nightmare, and whew, I'm not sure what to expect, but I'm sure it will be quite terrifying. if this actually happened, then this guy, whew, he is lucky. True hunting stories.
I was doing some night hog hunting in the woods near my backyard.
Freaking ad.
I was hiding in the tower I had built about a decade ago. In case anyone's wondering, I of course had a night vision scope attachment. I guess I'm what you would consider a hardcore hunter. I don't want to bore you with the unnecessary story prolonging details, so I'll make this short. And I want everyone to know that though I agree this story sounds far-fetched and crazy, it is nothing but the truth. And I in a way actually consider myself lucky that I'll always have such a horrifying story to share.
Okay.
So, while I was sitting in the tower waiting for movement, it finally came. I took aim and found the source. But it wasn't at all a hog, or any kind of animal I was expecting. It was a person. A man wearing all black. Black sweatpants, black shoes, and a black hoodie with the hood over his head. But that wasn't the freakiest part. He was dragging a sack behind him. My heart started racing.
Oh boy.
I was pretty sure I was witnessing this guy trying to bury a body. I continued to watch him, but then he slowed down, and I swear to God, it looked as if he turned his head up to me.
Oh, okay.
I ducked down under the wooden walls of the tower, shaking in my boots. Yes, I had a gun, but just the idea of using it against a person is horrifying. I lay low, praying to God that he hadn't seen me. It wouldn't make sense if he could, though. It's practically pitch black out here, or at least that was my logic. Seconds felt like an eternity as I waited for the footsteps in the leaves to move elsewhere, but I didn't hear any footsteps. All I heard was the sound of a foot hitting one of the wooden planks on the ladder of the tower.
Oh no.
I felt the entire tower vibrate and shake as there were 2 more steps moving up the ladder.
Oh boy.
At this point, I was asking myself deep down, am I going to be able to shoot someone? But for some reason, whoever was down there decided not to climb all the way up, as I heard them jump back down to the forest ground and began dragging the sack away. I think I stayed frozen like a statue for at least 10 minutes before even peeking over the ledge again.
Gosh.
The coast seemed clear. I had to get home and warn the police immediately.
Yeah.
I hopped over the ledge and descended down the ladder. I turned on my pocket flashlight, which in hindsight was a stupid move considering the situation, and ran back in the direction of my house.
Yeah, that's
I was only able to run for about 10 seconds or so when I heard the rapid, manic footsteps crunching the leaves from behind me. I took a look over my shoulder, and there he was, inches away from my face. I spun around and shot him in the shoulder.
Oh!
He stopped and screamed in agony, and I took that moment to finish my dash to my house.
Nice
Again,
shot.
in hindsight, I should have held him hostage somehow, but that doesn't even matter now.
Yeah, I don't think he
I
would
called
actually
the
do
police,
anything
who
with
showed
the
up
bullet in
within
his
15
arm.
minutes with a whole search squad, and I led them all into the woods to the exact location where I shot him. There was a faint yet noticeable blood trail spilled onto the leaves, which led past the body bag, which the cops seized, and eventually right to the maniac, who was hiding under a log next to a tree. He was
That's the
arrested and
worst
tried
place
for the
to-
murder of Jin-Quen Sakanaki, a Japanese corner store owner. I don't know the full story behind it, but I do know I won't forget this one for the rest of my life, and I'll also be telling it for the rest of my life.
Jeez. Whoa. That is horrifying. This is why I don't go out into the woods that much, especially at night. You never know what you're going to find out there. But the worst case scenario you could find is actually finding someone actually trying to bury a body. That's actually what that guy witnessed. And if this is true, I applaud your bravery, dude. And Walmart's, this actually gave me chills. Well done. Okay, the final story we're going to be reacting to is called Romanian Knowledge Experiment SFM Creepypasta. This animation is done by Necrosef. And I'm not really sure what to expect from this. I've seen a lot of scary animations, but I've never seen creepypasta animations like this before. So, other than the it has no face, I'll leave a link to that video down in the description below. Anyways, and with the other animators who's in this compilation, to say the least, or the series, or the first episode, but you catch my drift. I will also leave their channels in the description below. You can go check them out for yourselves. And, yep, let's get right into it. Romanian knowledge experiment.
In 1960, Alexandru Sift, a well-known scientist, traveled to the forest of Hoia Basayu, located in eastern Romania. The Hoia forest had the reputation of being a hotspot for paranormal activities,
Well, I'm getting goosebumps.
the main reason for
Something's wrong.
Sift's motivation. He wrote many notes about his experiences there, but many were found burnt upon his death in 1993. The notes that survived detailed his experiments on the forest with test subjects. In every one of his notes, he ended by saying, "Knowledge is harmful. Ignorance is bliss."
Is that so?
10 years later, the Romanian government developed interest in the few notes that survived. So they sought to recreate his experiments. 3 men volunteered for it. They were told this was simply to see how an average person would manage to travel in a foreign territory, using only a compass and a light source.
Also, rest in
Of
peace,
course, they
Rick
were
May.
lies, as no sane man would volunteer.
Rest in peace, Rick
they
May,
knew what
voice
awaited
actor of
them.
the soldier. Rest in peace.
They were also told there would be a substantial reward should they succeed.
Oh, look at Scout's face. He's in it to win it.
The first test subject was brought by helicopter to the west zone of the forest at midnight. He carried with him a backpack, food, water, a compass, and an oil lantern with enough oil to last until morning.
Huh. Old school.
He was
man.
instructed to keep moving east until he hit a road, which would lead him to a cabin where a few government agents awaited him. He was also told to stop every 30 minutes to record any and all events on a sheet of paper. He arrived at the cabin at 2 a.m.
Alright.
He handed the sheet to the agents and was driven to a nearby city, where he was handed his reward.
Huh.
His sheet said the following:
Alright.
12:30 a.m. I stopped at a nearby creek to rest and eat. Being in a forest at night with only an oil lantern for a source of light really managed to scare the heck out of me. I thought I kept seeing more
Whoa.
shadows than there
What was
actually
that?
were. 1 a.m.
I got scary sense. Every time I get goosebumps
I stopped at a little
randomly,
clearing to change the oil. I swear.
Wait. Something's wrong. Something's wrong. And I got scary sense. Every time something happens, every time I get goosebumps, I get the feeling that something's wrong. And like randomly, whenever something freaky happens, and it's always when I get goosebumps. Let's just wait and see.
There's something out there following me. I can almost be sure there was a shadow that wasn't from any tree.
What is that?
Maybe an animal.
What kind of model is that?
1:30 a.m. Now I'm really freaked out. I saw something staring at me in the distance. I only managed to see its silhouette, but as soon as I looked at it, it disappeared.
Oh dear.
I'm starting to second guess this experiment. 1:55 a.m. I'm on the road.
Okay. Good.
I can see the cabin from here. That thing from before kept following me. The more I walked, the closer it got to me.
Is that just a fast zombie?
Thankfully, I haven't seen it for a while. So I figure I'll get to the cabin without any more delays.
I need a new chair.
The first subject remained alarmed for a few days afterwards. but soon returned to a calm state.
That's good.
The second test subject was deployed in the same spot as the previous one. On the following night, he had the same exact gear, except instead of an oil lantern, he had an infrared camera.
Infrared?
He arrived at the cabin at 5 a.m.
Oh dear.
The agents noticed he was physically and psychologically shaken. He was panting and crying in fear.
What the heck did he see?
His note said the
Probably
following.
the same thing.
12:30 a.m. This camera really doesn't help me navigate. I even fell a few times because of it. Almost everything I see is blue and black, except for the occasional red spot of an animal or bird.
Yep, that's the fast zombie from Half-Life 2.
1 a.m. I don't know what the hell you guys put out here with me, but it's not funny. I took a break to drink some water when I heard a rattling coming from deep within the forest. I took my camera to see what it was, but
Ooh.
I'm sure that was no normal animal. It was big and hunched over. I couldn't make out its details since it was glowing bright red.
Predator
I
vision.
slowly walked away from it, never losing it out of my sight, even though it stayed completely motionless. I found a small ditch to hide. I guess it's better to write in here than out in the open. I'll quicken up my pace. The faster I get out of here, the better.
Yeah, that's what they all say.
4:30 a.m. I'm sorry for not writing more frequently. I just never had the chance.
Man, you've been trying to
Shortly
avoid
after
that
the
thing
last
for 3
entry,
hours?
I heard it walking towards me. I dove in a small cave and waited for it to pass. I took so long because of that. It didn't leave me alone.
Gosh.
I'll probably not write anything else until I get to safety. The last thing I want is to be surprised by that thing while my guard is down.
Yeah, that's a smart idea.
The second test subject was visibly stressed and taken to a psychologist for 3 months. The third subject never came back. He was deployed
What?
in the same spot on the following night. He had the same gear, except he had a night vision camera.
Night vision.
When the
That
agents
means
were
they
leaving the shack, they noticed a
Oh,
worn
no.
and ragged piece of paper on their doorstep. It had only one entry. It said the following:
Oh no.
12:05 a.m.
Seriously, 5 minutes?
If you find this, please tell my family I love them. These might be my last words. After I couldn't see the helicopter anymore, I turned on the camera to check my surroundings.
Oh no. And that's when you saw it, didn't you?
I can see it. 20 meters in front of me.
Oh gosh.
It doesn't move as I write this. It doesn't even blink. It has no eyelids.
Yep, that's a fast zombie, alright. I recognize
It's
those
taller
claws.
than any human or bear that I have ever encountered. It's hunched over like a gorilla, supporting its weight on the extremities of its limbs. I can't even call those things hands. It has round eyes, no pupils. Oh God. It's shaking the trees as it moves. After the conclusion of the experiment, the Romanian government placed an electrified fence and guard towers surrounding the entire Hoia Basayu forest. They made sure not to let anyone in. Or anything out.
Yikes. That was downright freaky. All of these were downright freaky. And I am very impressed with them. I'm very impressed with the animation style that went into it. Okay, that's gonna do it for Spooky Scary Saturdays. I hope you guys enjoyed this, and whew, you're probably gonna have nightmares for the rest of the night because of this. Same as me. But, oh well. You know how it is. Anyways, if you enjoyed this, smash the like button, subscribe to the channel if you're new. Let me know if you want to see more of the series down in the comments below. And I'll try to get someone else with me to react to these as well. And I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace out.